Does God exist? Yeah, he does. God, the existence of the Creator, a divine being in a realm that we can't even comprehend. I love these questions. I love this topic because in Romans, it talks about this idea that the invisible attributes and divine nature of God is seen through nature, through plants, through just creation. Right? Like creation, it groans for the Lord. It praises the Lord. Last time we talked about in Isaiah that the hills and the mountains, they clap for the Lord, right? It's this idea that evidence is found in creation. But I want to take a different approach of this, and I actually just want to look at the first 2 verses of the Bible, all right? And once again, I don't know everything, but I think the Lord has shown me something here that I would like to share, and let's talk about it. So the first 2 verses of the Bible is pretty famous. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. It's an interesting start, right? Because the first verse is, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So here, this first verse is stating that God was there in the beginning, before all we have seen, all we see and know, God was there. And in the same way, everything has a start and a finish to it. But God, in the beginning, God created. Before the beginning, God was. So God is not restricted into beginning, middle, and end. He's actually outside of time. So God is timeless. So the question of, well, who created God? Well, no one created God because there was never a point of beginning for God. God was, period. When he was talking to Moses, and Moses says, Lord, who should I say sent me to them? God replies, I am. Tell them I am has sent you. It's interesting how God refers to himself as I am. He was. No beginning, no end, timeless. That's the first verse. Second verse, now the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. Right there. The Spirit of God. Right here in the second verse, we get characteristic or an image of God as spirit. Spirit is not physical, right? We have a physical body, and we also have a spiritual body. We have a spirit. God is spirit. Scripture throughout the whole Bible will tell you that God is spirit, right? So God is not physical. So he's not bound to the physical world as we are, right? So God cannot be touched in the way that we are able to touch things, right? I can touch this plant. It's here. I know it's there, right? And a lot of us, I mean, a majority of humans, I would say 99% of us are physical beings. I mean, we touch things to know we know, right? But God is not physical. God is spirit. But that is why when Jesus comes, that's such a remarkable thing, because it is spirit made physical. It is God coming down to be with us, to move with us, to eat with us, live with us. It's such a remarkable thing. But the second verse states that the Spirit of God. So God is not physical, right? He is not made out of matter. Now, to get a little scientific here, right? I'm not a scientist or anything, but this is a very interesting thing that matter and space cannot coexist without each other. Space-time and matter, to be cannot coexist without each other. So you need physical matter to inhabit the space for there to be space and physical matter. So these plants could not exist without the space that it is occupying, right? And there was a time that these plants were here. There was a start. There will be an end. I think it's going to be a lot. These plants are going to be here a lot longer than I am. But this idea of space, time, and matter coexisting together is interesting because they cannot exist without each other. But that's the remarkable thing about God, is that God is not bound to our time. He is not a physical being. He's a spiritual being. And he doesn't need to occupy the space, which means he is also space, like he is everywhere at all times, right? So God, this being that exists in a place that we cannot even fathom, is moving for good. So the question of, does God exist? Show me God. It's an interesting question. These are interesting statements because I can't bring you like this, the way I can grab this plant and be like, yeah, here you go. It doesn't work like that. God does not work like that. But I can point to Jesus. I can point to the one who died and rose again.